It is Daily Ticker time. It's Dame Day. So one of our listeners on Twitter's call it that. And a lot to talk about. Damian Lillard making his return. You know him on Twitter, at Blazer Banter. Great Substack as well. Erik García Gundersen, who's been covering this team, this franchise for quite some time. He is going to join us. Do we have him, Swag? You still ringing him up there? Yeah, we have him now. Okay, Erik Gundersen is going to join us here as... What was that sound?
Nothing.
Oh.
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Okay.
I was just picking up the phone.
Okay. That we have to check tape on that one. I that sounded like something that we've talked about before, but we'll check tape on that one. It is Dame Day here, Gundy. It's Dame Day.
Yes, it is.
You're feeling good now, as I think I just heard.
Hey, it's the morning.
Wow, that's an all-time great little soundbite we're going to have to pull on that one. I don't know if you knew you were on at that point, but it's Dame Day here, man. How do you feel? Like, what are you just thinking about with Damian Lillard making his return in a non-Blazer uniform?
I mean, it's bittersweet, man. It just is. So many great times, and also the pangs of they didn't get it quite done. They didn't get him to a finals. They, part of that is coming up in the same conference as a dynasty, but also some shortcomings of decisions that were made. And it's just I'm happy that he's in a place where he can win a championship, but it's a little bittersweet.
Did you ever think we'd get here? Like, were you one of those you believed, not that he's a liar, obviously, but situation forcing a hand? Did you think he was ever really going to leave?
I mean, it didn't ever feel like it, but as time went by, as things started to kind of fall apart around him, the whole Olshey thing, with him getting out, and it seemed like there was tension between him and Olshey even before Olshey got out. So that started to kind of build a little bit, and then the power struggle, and then also just decisions not really going their way, signing Gary Payton, things like that, where you'd think that would have worked and that would have fixed things, or would have made a nice addition, and it was a complete minus. As those bad decisions and bad moves started to stack up on top of each other, it started to become more real.
You could certainly point and say this is the right way to go. Dame's aging, the back end of the contract, moves don't appear from the outside perspective to be enticing enough to gamble with. But the one thing I always hold to him, and we're already so deep into the rebuild that it's we don't necessarily have to dive into this for very long. But I just played in the last segment, Gundy. I played the clip from the deadline last year where you mentioned Gary Payton II was an absolutely atrocious decision. It backfired big in their face, and he got the bag and then got to go back to the team that he really wanted to play for. They used the term chips all in, like people were going to be offended almost by how all in they were going to go to build around Dame. And 5-6 months later, he's a Milwaukee Buck. Do you still think about that quote? Why? That has to be one of Joe's regrets, is using that term, given that they didn't make any moves. They kept all their draft picks and drafted a 19-year-old playing the same position as him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that has to be, at this point, the biggest mistake of his tenure, was saying that. Was saying that they were going to go all in, and they were going to completely go all in, and no matter what, to build a team around Dame. And obviously, they last year they tanked when they had a chance. They still had an outside shot of making the play-in tournament. They instead of maybe haggling for maybe trying to get Sadiq Bey in that Gary Payton deal, who would have been a nice piece, they opted to go for second-round picks, which, that's not helping you win today. And so that was about the future. And so I think, he was in a tough position, but ultimately, it wasn't the right thing to say because I think it led a lot of people to believe that they were going to be super serious about building a contender, and they weren't. And I think they tried to an extent, but I think they were not going to overextend themselves to the point which is what he said they would do, that people might be offended about how all in they're going to be. And they never even, they did not go to that point of overextending. And so, that was a real miss for sure.
Erik Gundersen is our guest here. You can find him on Twitter at Blazer Banter. Has a great Substack. He's been covering the Blazers for a long time. You've heard him on all the shows here on The Fan and all the podcasts of the people of note out there that do really good Blazer content. And he's a good friend of the show on Twitter at Blazer Banter. Emotions-wise, are you going to be in the building tonight? I should have asked you that at the beginning. Are you going to be at the game?
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to be there tonight. I'm going to be there, doing some work, getting some quotes. Obviously it's going to be an emotional night, man. I had to be there. So yeah, I will definitely be there and probably have something to write about it after. But yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Do you think him or Ant are going to score more?
Oh, I mean, I think Dame's going to go I think he's going to go off. Doc Rivers is also such a big narrative heavy coach.
Oh yeah.
I feel like with Doc being the coach now, like they're going to run so many plays for Dame. They're going to try and set him up to have a huge game. Giannis said, that they're going to be trying to support him. And I just feel like that's going to be there tonight. So I would not be surprised if Dame goes for 45 tonight.
See, that's the thing is he talked, I think yesterday out at Adidas, just how emotional all of it is and how it's just going to be a moment that he hasn't experienced, obviously, because he's only been on 2 teams now, but how and not that he hasn't been in pressure-packed situations or felt the nerves of getting ready for a game, but just how he internalizes the video, the Mark Mason introduction, which I would imagine is going to be the same that he got when he was a Blazer, how he internalizes all of those feelings because he's never been here. He's never had to go through this before. This is different than any experience he's ever had. I'm fascinated to see what the first 5 minutes of that game is. I tend to agree with you that he's going to go off or that they're going to try to make a point of letting him go off. But does he start 0 for 3, kind of pressing and letting the nerves kind of get to him a little bit there?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we've never seen this before, but, I'm thinking back now, his first game at Golden State in Oakland when he was with the Blazers as a rookie, he went off in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think when Damian Lillard, he responds to pressure by performing at the highest level. It's just it's kind of what he does. But I totally could see nerves early kind of getting to him and then just kind of kicking in, his game kicking in after that. Cause it does seem like one of those things where it's both teams are going to be, cause the Blazers, most things around the Blazers still kind of revolve around Dame, even if he's not there. So they're all going to be thinking about it. Ant's going to be thinking about it. Scoot, I think, is going to be thinking about it because of all the tension between him and Dame, that there was. There's no way that it's not going to be on the front of everybody's mind, not just Dame's, but the whole Blazers team as well. They've
already played once. They blew a huge lead. The Bucks came back and ended up winning a game that they were getting slaughtered in. I'm curious with Chauncey. I think Chauncey, they're not caring about wins and loss, how many wins they get. Obviously, they're 14-33. I think this is going to be the game that some people on Twitter just get upset because all the young guys didn't play as much. I think Chauncey's going to try to win. I think it's going to be Ant, Malcolm, Jeremy, D.A., and Tease, and I think they're all in the 32 to 36 minute range. I think this is an all-out, no, let's try to spoil the homecoming. You can cheer for him, give him the standing ovation, give him the tribute video, give him the flowers, but then try to ruin it for him. Do you think Chauncey takes the approach?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think Chauncey's looking for a signature win because they've had some wins, but I don't think you have one that especially this season. Like, I think the Oklahoma City one was where they lost on that late call was maybe the closest he could have gotten.
The almost win.
the almost win. But I think he's really looking for a signature win, and I think this game's on ESPN. It's Dame's homecoming. Mm-hmm. I definitely think they're going to be playing the veterans as many minutes as they can to try and get the win, because I think not only for the players, I think for Chauncey and his tenure here, I think he's looking for something like that to hang his hat on.
There's some reporting out there about what they will or will not be doing at the deadline. If you could hang around during the break, I want to pick your brain on what you make of this team so far. They're not very good, but the start of the build post-Dame and where you think it all kind of lies and how you feel about some of the narratives or noise around what they will or will not be doing on the trade deadline. So, Gundy, we're going to put you on hold. We'll carry this over on the other side, and we'll just dive in a little bit more. I want to get your thoughts. We haven't had you on the show in a while. So we'll continue with Erik Gundersen, Blazer Banter on Twitter, @BlazerBanter, next on The Fan.
Who's stinking it up?
Woo! Do not go in there.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up, a sports lowlight that's ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainsplumbing.com.
Dak is done.
Did he say Dak is dead? What did he say?
Wide orbit. No, he was saying that.
Not playing?
No, I don't know what happened. But yeah, he's saying he's done nothing to dissuade how he feels about him in the future, but you'll take him as far as the team will go as far as Dak takes you.
Yeah.
And Dak hasn't taken you to an NFC title game, but he wants a contract extension.
Well, anytime you can be disappointing in the postseason, you know what you do. You run it right back. I'm sure it's all going to change for the owner that's too meddling. Who's stinking it up? Jerry Jones, brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing and Electrical Services. They're very delightful. Get your time back and let the pros tackle whatever projects you need completed. Schedule an appointment online. Three Mountains Plumbing. That's threemountainsplumbing.com. Hey everybody, Sprague here. In 2024, let's not overlook maintaining your home's plumbing system. My friends at Three Mountains Plumbing want you to have more time to yourself and don't want you to have to worry about your drains, toilets, and plumbing systems. They're here to take care of your plumbing projects you need to get done around your home. My toilet wouldn't stop running after flushing. Three Mountains Plumbing fixed it quickly. And you want to make sure everything's running okay with your water heater. Give them a call. When you use Three Mountains Plumbing, you get quality service with exceptional results. The licensed plumbers at Three Mountains Plumbing can handle your plumbing problems. For 23 years, they've been helping homeowners across Portland with their plumbing, draining, and water heater issues. From repairs to replacements, tune-ups to installations, they can do it all. And now they're helping homeowners with their electrical needs too. Something I need to ask about for my garage. How is there only one outlet? Three Mountains Plumbing makes it easy to schedule an appointment. You can call them at 503-714-6460, or you can schedule online at threemountainsplumbing.com. They make plumbing and electrical services delightful. Be sure to tell them Sprague sent you.
The Fan is on in your home and where you work.
It's just us and no one else.
Good explanation.
The Fan on your smart speaker is brought to you by Red Tail Golf. Red Tail's junior golf program is in session now. Sign up for the Junior Club or their Spring Break Golf Camp, March 25th through the 29th. Visit redtailgolf.com or call 503-646-5166 and tell your smart speaker to play 1080.
I couldn't believe how entertained I was. When you talk about the top in this country.
The Fan.
Vicks Vapo Stick delivers soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. Vicks Vapo Stick. Comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower use for adults only.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising! After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know! Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
You'll be sorry.
in Jansen Beach, Clackamas, Beaverton, Salem, and Eugene, Video Only.
It all comes down to this. Super Bowl 58. Listen live from Westwood One on the free Odyssey app. The Kansas City Chiefs.
Takes the snap. Darts a pass near side. Caught by Kelsey. Wrapped to the ground at the 12.
And the San Francisco 49ers.
With the comeback for the ages. The 49ers are going back to the Super Bowl.
Wherever you are next Sunday, stream Super Bowl 58 with Westwood One on the free Odyssey app. Download it today and search Super Bowl. AUDACY.
Check it out, man.
This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, we got NFL Zigger Zag coming up at 8 a.m. Erik Gundersen joining us for another segment. We carried it over here on Twitter at Blazer Banter. Gundy, I want to read a text from one of our listeners at the Vancouver Ford text line. He says, my 10-year-old still wears his Blazers Lillard gear regularly and can't wait to hear it in the Moda Center tonight. Blazer fans for life, but also Dame fan as well. That's from one of our listeners, RJ. And I think that's the thing is there's a lot of people that are Swag's age or older that remember the Clyde Drexler return. There's like a decent chunk of fans tonight that are going to be in that building. And Dame's kind of the start of fandom. It's not just 10-year-olds. I think you go to young 20-somethings. All they've known is Damian Lillard as a Blazer. And so they're going to experience what Blazer fans felt in the mid-90s when Clyde came back. It's going to feel weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's going to feel weird. I mean, I remember Clyde being on the Rockets, but I wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't remember it like I remember Dame. You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
You know, and I mean, I think the closest thing that we can come to is like when CJ came back with New Orleans, he got a really good reception. I'm imagining that Dame's reception is going to be even bigger. And even more emotional for people. I mean, you go to a game and the majority of the jerseys in the crowd still, even when Dame isn't there, are Lillard jerseys. He's just connected to the franchise forever. And it's, you know, the best moments that the franchise has had in the last 20 years were because of him. And so it's really going to be something that I've never experienced.
I know a lot of people might not have it, but for those that do, including myself, I would highly advise watching the local product. Put it on Root tonight. They're going to have probably the best coverage of it. ESPN's going to do what they do, but I feel like Root as an option for this game is probably the way I'd go. I don't know if KC is back, but Demers and Lamar have been delightful. Let me ask you about this team, this Blazer team. So we're post Damian Lillard. He's back at Adidas, but he's a Milwaukee Buck. He might go win his first ring this year. I think you and I, we text from time to time during League Pass nights or different things pop up. And I think you and I see a lot of similar things in the league. Let's see if we see similar things with the team. Let's start here. Where are you at on Chauncey Billups, the head coach?
You know, I mean, I couldn't have been more out after the 7-game road trip where they had the worst point differential in NBA history. But, you know, I have to say over the last couple of weeks, like, I mean, it hasn't been like the most inspired, but I do think putting Jabari Walker into the starting lineup was a really smart move. And also, you know, he talked a lot to the media about moving the ball and having more ball movement, but something has obviously changed with the way he's talking to the team about that, because they have gone from being a bottom 5 team in passes per game over until, you know, through that bad road trip from the start of the season. Since that road trip over the last 3 weeks, they've been a top 10 team in passes per game. So he either got something through to them in a better way, or maybe he realized that he needed to harp on it more. But whatever it is, I don't think just adding Jabari Walker to the lineup is the reason why they've made that huge jump in passes per game. And as much as I, you know, was mad at thinking, you know, the team didn't look like they were playing hard at all. It seemed like they didn't care. And it seemed like he didn't really care, you know, getting the technical against Oklahoma City, even if it was ill-timed, you know, you could, there's a little bit more passion there. And it also feels like, you know, he's gotten the team to play the brand of basketball that he's been saying he wants them to play recently. Now, can that sustain? I don't know. And it was concerning that it took having the worst road trip in NBA history to do that. But, you know, they have improved a little bit. I mean, but, you know, but yeah. I you know, that's where I'm at with it. But it's like, it's the evaluation still going on for me. But I have to give him credit for these last 3 weeks. They've been more watchable. They move the ball.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I don't think he's amazing by any stretch, but on that technical, I had somebody in the media text, hey, what did you think of that? I'm like, well, I mean, obviously it's bad timing, but at least he finally looked like he gave a damn about something. Most of the time he's in that quarter zip, just like, meandering about, waiting for the game so he could dap up the coach. Like, I at least felt that he was actually doing something in that. Now, to your credit, like, yeah, they've had a nice stretch. Now, they haven't won all these games, but they've at least had a better, more watchable stretch. There's reporting out there and some intel. The scuttlebutt on trade deadline, they might not be moving Malcolm. I don't think they're moving Jeremy unless they get some amazing deal that nobody sees coming. What would you think if they make no moves with this team and this roster?
I think, listen, if this is NBA 2K and we, just play Scoot 35 minutes a game, and like his development score is just going to keep going up and up. But like, this isn't 2K.
No.
And I don't think, for the rest of the season, I'm sure it'll happen at some point if they keep Malcolm around. I'm sure they'll shut him down at some point, and Scoot will continue to get 30, 35 minutes a game at some point in the season. But I don't think him having bad games with high minutes totals is good for his development either. And it does seem like he's been stacking good performances on top of each other coming off the bench. And the thing with Malcolm that I think is a different thing that, our friend Danny Rang also pointed out is like, he's under contract for another year next year. This isn't like Josh Hart last year where it was like
an expiring, right? Yeah.
Where he's expiring. And next year is when also the collective bargaining agreements, financial penalties start to kick in for teams on the apron, and the taxes get harsher. So something like an expiring contract might help a team get out of cap hell. And to me, that could also open up the market beyond just, teams that are, looking to make a little noise in the first round, which to me seems like that's kind of what the market is for Malcolm. And again, once you get past this draft, then you start looking at drafts for draft picks in following years. And from everything we've read and heard is that this draft is not the best first-round draft in terms of talent. And they've already also got 2 second-round picks that project to be pretty good seconds. They've got the 34th overall pick right now from Charlotte and the 38th overall pick from Atlanta. So it's not like they're lacking chances to swing and hit on a guy.
Are we in lockstep? Like, we're both taking the Nuggets to win the West, right? No matter what people are, the noise around the Clippers, or maybe people want to give Luka, or OKC is young and they're at the top, and Minnesota's been the 1 seed for most of the year. Are we in lockstep on Denver winning the West?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I'm right there with you. They because it's Jokic. He just walks his way to triple doubles with 30 points every night, and Jamal Murray seemingly only gets up for enormous games against the best teams. But so like when they play like say Brooklyn, they might not look that good, but they're the chance until further notice. And I take them over the field in the West for sure.
And I'll get you out on this. You need Boston to not get to the finals like you need air like me, right? We need this to be a Milwaukee-Denver series.
I mean, I would love a Milwaukee-Denver series for sure, but I want it to be Milwaukee, obviously, for Dame to get a chance to go to the finals. But I have to say, I kind of do like the way. We all hate Boston, but the way that they play now that they have Porzingis is very intriguing, and I would not hate that matchup with Porzingis and Jokic, to be honest with you. That game that they played in Boston where Denver won was maybe not the game of the year, but one of the best.
It was up there. Yeah, it for sure was. They're a great team. I kind of need Bill Simmons tears. Some of those podcasts are becoming like a little ridiculous. It's like they've won 3 straight titles instead of just saying, what they have actually done. Gundy, enjoy the game. I know it's going to be weird. Even for media members, I think it's going to be weird. Enjoy the game. We look forward to the coverage. And thanks for hopping on, hanging out with us for a half hour. I think you flushed a toilet, but you're not saying yes or no, but we're going to pull the audio to check, okay?
All right. Yeah, let the tape tell the tale, I guess.
Swag thinks you did a bong rip. I think you flushed a toilet. We're going to have to pull the audio and see which one was accurate.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a great day. Thanks for having me.
All right, there we go. Erik Gundersen at Blazer Banter on Twitter. He'll be at the game tonight. Give him a follow. He's a good friend of the show.